Ever since Ferrari introduced their Spanish Grand Prix upgrade package at Barcelona, things have been going backwards for the team in terms of their competitiveness. And this is all thanks to one particular problem that this upgrade package has introduced on the SF-24. And that is, of course, the high-speed corner porpoising that the Ferrari has started to incur thanks to this upgrade package. And in fact, Ferrari have reverted back to their IMOLA package for the rest of this British Grand Prix weekend. This comes after running experiments in the first couple of practice sessions yesterday through both Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, with them both simultaneously running different specs of SF-24 throughout Friday's practice sessions. For the two sessions, Charles Leclerc has been running the current upgrade package first introduced in Barcelona, which of course incurred the bouncing or porpoising, if you like, in high-speed corners, which can quite clearly be seen from the video up on the screen right now, let alone if I was to slow it down. While Carlos Sainz has been running the pre-Barcelona upgrade package, which was of course the Evo, as it was namely dubbed, in Imola at Italy. And of course, the whole goal of this experiment in which they've been running through the opening day of practice has been about trying to sift through the data and hopefully, for their sake, find a setup in which it enables them to run the SF-24 to its optimum performance. Now, whether that's a combination of the two packages being kind of put together, or whether something in the data helps them understand their current package which was introduced in Barcelona and enables them to run it, that is something only time is going to tell. But of course, time is slowly ticking by and running out for the team to find these problems and solve them. Now, of course, there's only going to be 2 or maybe 3 different avenues from which to go down for Ferrari. Number 1, you either revert back to your pre-Barcelona spec. The second is, of course, you try to stick with the current one and hope you find a solution. Or thirdly, you have a combination of the two packages, and this helps to alleviate the porpoising in which you are currently finding your cars are under. Now, something very interesting came to light through the comparisons and the experiments in which Ferrari undertook during yesterday's 2 practice sessions through the data and telemetry, which I'll now go on to explain to you right now. Now, this is data from the first practice session yesterday of Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. Now, remember, Leclerc is running the current package while Sainz is running the old package. Now, what's really interesting is that Charles Leclerc couldn't use his 8th gear through cops, as he had to lift a hell of a lot more than Carlos Sainz did. Now, of course, we can quite clearly see from the data that the current package is limiting the car in the amount of performance the team can extract from it, because the car is bouncing throughout the high-speed corners. Now, there is, of course, a way in which Ferrari can alleviate the bouncing, and that is to, of course, raise the ride height of the SF-24 with its current package. But the problem with that is, of course, it means you're giving away performance because you're losing downforce, which is there on the car, but you cannot utilize it. And so the car is just naturally going to go slower, and that's just not what the team wants to do. And it would probably end up a case of them now having less downforce and load if they were to raise the current package than just using the old package which was introduced in Imola. And so Ferrari have a very tricky situation on their hands, and it's not too dissimilar to the one Mercedes found themselves in the opening year of this current ground effect era with their W13. They too had an extremely bouncy car, not only on the straights but through high-speed corners as well. And it took them quite a few upgrades as well as raising the car ride height in order to alleviate that, and they lost a heap of lap time, downforce and load. And this is the huge conundrum Ferrari face with their current situation. Can they actually find a way in which to run the current SF-24 and alleviate the bouncing, or are they going to have to abandon their upgrade? Now, that particular point would not be a fantastic sign. To quite the contrary, it would be an awful sign. It means the package, number one, hasn't worked, and they've not seen this particular issue in the data quite clearly. And so you have to then start to wonder and speculate whether they've now got correlation issues within their wind tunnel back at Fiorano and Maranello. So for their sake, we have to hope that their engineers can go through all the data which they've gathered yesterday, and of course through all the previous rounds in which the car has run in its current specification, and hope they can find something within the data which gives them a course of direction to go through and to help rectify the current issues. Because if they don't, they're going to fall further and further away from the leading pack in their competitiveness. And that's just something Ferrari really don't want to have to contend with, because of course then they have to start thinking about, do they cut all the upgrades in which they have planned and focus on next year? Because the championships are starting to slowly begin to slip away, particularly when you see the upward trajectory that McLaren and Mercedes are on. And of course, with Lewis Hamilton entering the fray, they're going to have to change the characteristics of next year's car, which I'm presuming is going to be the SF-25, to further suit Leclerc and Hamilton's style, because Leclerc and Hamilton have a much more similar style than that of Sainz and Leclerc. So of course there's also a natural compromise in which Ferrari have had to kind of tailor the setup for these two, and maybe that's having a little bit of a issue when it comes to these upgrades. I don't think it is. I think a team generally, if they can find lap time, they're going to put it on the car, and then it's up to the engineers with their respective drivers to find a solution to their setup issues and to get comfortable with the new package. So only time is going to tell how this all pans out. And I hope for their sake, and for obviously all the Ferrari tifosi out there, that they do manage to find a solution and make it a 3, if not 4-way fight at every race weekend for the remainder of this 2024 F1 season. Right guys, that's the video. Hope you've all enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe if you're new, and of course turn on notifications, and I will see you later in another Formula 1 video this weekend.